Hello Stampers! I've got a little sea life card for you today, and I created it in a way that you get quite a bit of depth in your scene, and I'm going to just go through it step by step with you and show you how to use this wonderful bundle. The bundle I'm using today is Beauty of the Deep, and you have this beautiful stamp set. It has coral and plants, and of course your traditional anchor, and then a couple fish, and just look how beautiful this little fish is. So we're going to be using that, and it has a coordinating die set to it also. I'm just going to show you these dies. Now most of these dies coordinate with the stamps themselves, but it has a few standalone dies too. It has this large die here, and that's what we're going to be using on the front of the card to stand out, to get us a little more depth. And it also has this one here and this one here. So I love these die sets that just give you a little more than just a traditional coordinating cutout pieces that go with the stamps themselves. So I think it gives you a little more value. And for our greeting, I went to Go To Greeting stamp set, and this is my all-time favorite greeting stamp set. It has, just a traditional happy birthday, thinking of you, just a note, the thank you, but it has it in different fonts and different sizes. So it's very easy to use, and today I just did just a note. So we're going to go through this step by step, like I said. We're going to start with our main panel. Now you can find all the sizes for the panels down below this video. Just click show more and you'll see them all there listed, along with all the product links that'll take you to my online store. So we have our main panel here, and this is 3 3/4 square. And that's what we're going to use for the front of our card, and this is where our main scene is going to be created on. Now for our background colors for the water, I'm going to be using Balmy Blue and Pool Party. And we're going to start out with Pool Party here. And we're going to be using blending brushes for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blending brush and go back and forth a bit on this. And then ink up, do it some more, and I like to leave some of that white space showing a little bit. And I'm only going to come down about 2/3 of the cardstock. So that was our Pool Party. And then I'm going to go to Balmy Blue here. And what you're trying to do is just make some streaks across the panel. When you coordinate these together, they just give you that little ocean look with the blue-green mix. And that's what you're going for. I don't worry about any splotches from the actual blending brush. I just think that adds character to your water. So there is our Balmy Blue added. And I think we're going to go ahead and start putting our plants in the background. And I'm going to start with this large stamp plant here. And I'm going to put it over here on the left side of this panel. And we're going to be layering our plants, and that gives us more depth in our scene too. So I'm just going to add this here on the left. And as with Pool Party. Okay, and then I'm going to get out Orchid Oasis, and I'm going to go ahead and put my little fish in before I get too far into my scene, so I make sure I have plenty of room for my fish. So I'm going to stamp them, and I'm just using this little striped fish here. I think it's an angel fish, and it's got a pretty curly, cute top to it. It's very cute. And I'm just going to nestle this in here in that coral. And there's one. And then I'm going to stamp one just in front of it a little bit. and above. There's 2. So there are our fish in there, and that was done with Orchid Oasis. So I'm going to bring in our balmy blue. We have this little coral-like image, and I'm going to stamp it. I'm going to stamp it right here at the top of our white area. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, these stamps are just lovely. Okay, so there was that stamped. And I'm going to use that same balmy blue, and I got this little dotted stamp, and I think this is great just to add like little pebbles in your sand area. There we go. So that was also done in balmy blue. And now I think I'm going to do one more of those coral images, and I'm going to overlap it with this one here. When you overlap images, you start getting more depth going in your scene. See how that little darker balmy blue goes on top of that pool party, and it just looks like that they're layered up. So I have those images done. I'm going to bring in some Cajun Craze. Now this is a nice bright color, and I'm going to use that for this plant here. So I'm going to stamp this a few times. And don't worry about stamping it over the images other than the fish. I don't want to stamp over my fish. So there's one, and I'm going to bring one down here. And see how these are getting layered up now? And we'll put one on this side. So there are those images. And those images look like they're in front of all those coral pieces. So I'm going to take, and I have a light pumpkin pie marker here, and I'm just going to color in all of these little leaf images here. And I'm not going to have you hang out the whole time I'm doing that coloring. I'm just adding some colors to the inside of the leaves. And I will be right back as soon as I get that done. Okay, I'm back. I have all my little leaves all colored in with this light pumpkin pie Stampin' Blend marker. So there is that. All right, so now I have a white gel pen here. And this is a Signo white gel pen that I got from Amazon.com. And that stripe in the center of that fish, I'm going to color in with my pen here. And that's going to really make it pop a bit more. And then there's a little dot at the part of its tail where it actually attaches to the fish. That's white too. So there is that white gel pen. And so we have that done, and that is our main panel finished. So next we're going to use a panel here of basic white. This is 2.5 by 3 3/4. And I'm just going to rip off like 1/2 inch of this. 1/2 inch to 1 inch, you know, I just want it kind of wavy looking. So this will be the sand part that comes up, and we're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals to make this seem like it comes forward. So for this, I want to stamp my sentiment, and I'm going to do that in Cajun Craze. I'm just stamping just a note, but you could do happy birthday, thank you, thinking of you, whatever you wanted to do here. And I'm doing this towards the top of this panel. There we go. going to take that little dotted stamp we used earlier, and I'm going to use Balmy Blue, and I'm going to make those dots on this one too. Now, if you ever have to where you like rock your stamp a little bit, I have a little teeny little mark there. And I don't want to waste this cardstock. I'm just going to take my white gel pen and I just kind of dot over that. And voila, it's gone. So I'm not going to fret about that. It's just me. That may bother you, but it doesn't bother me at all. So there's that. Okay, we're going to start assembling our card. And I have an Orchid Oasis card base here. And this is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's folded in half to create my quarter card. Now inside, I just want a couple panels. I want a Cajun Craze panel that's 4 by 5.25, and then on top of that, I'm doing a white panel that's 3 3/4 by 5. Normally, I would just stamp what I want on the inside of my card on this panel here before I attach it, but I don't know what I want it to say yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and adhere it in, and I'll put a sentiment in when I know what I'm going to use this for, or maybe I'll just write a note in there because it just says just a note. Then I'm going to add this to the inside of my card. Let's add some love in there. Don't forget that love. And then add that. There we go. Inside of our card is all put together. Now for the outside of our card, I have another Cajun Craze panel here, and this is also 4 by 5.25. And we'll just put this on the front of the card. I'm using multi-purpose glue, but you use whatever adhesive you like to use. And then I'm going to add my main panel in here. And I'm just going to kind of center that on the top of the card, right there. And now we have room to pop this up here at the bottom. And see, we have some sand, and we have sand in our background too, and that gives us some depth. Now before I put this on the card, I have some pieces here that I cut, and this is an Orchid Oasis piece that's 1/4 inch by 1 3/4. And I'm just for just a little detail that I wanted to add was just to put a strip of cardstock underneath this. So this is Orchid Oasis, and that really brings your attention to that sentiment. So I want to get that straight on there. And then I have a couple die cut pieces. Now this I die cut using those Beauty of the Deep dies. And I'm going to just add a little, well, first I'm going to cut a little bit of this off. This is a great one that you can just take some scissors, and if you want it a little narrower, you just clip some of these off just to get it to be a little narrower. So you can add it on there. So there we go. And so I just clipped just a few of those little pieces off. Then I'm going to just add some glue down here at the kind of the bottom half of this. I'm just going on, and I'm going to add it to that little panel there, our little sand base. And I left that unattached, so that gives us a little bit more of free-flowing pieces there. So then I have this other little piece I also die cut from that same die set. I cut this out of Cajun Craze, and the other piece I cut out of Pool Party. So I'm kind of mimicking the colors that I used earlier for our main panel. So I have Pool Party, Cajun Craze. Here is that Orchid Oasis that we used on the fish. It's always nice to bring those elements back in there, those same colors. And now I'm using that white gel pen. I'm just going to add some dots on this little piece here. So I started out, I put one in on each end and the one in the middle. Then I'll add another one in the middle of those. So there's my little additional sand piece. And now I'm just going to pop it up using Stampin' Dimensionals. Where do you find those little backs to your dimensionals? I find them all over my house. They must stick to my clothes and fall off when I'm elsewhere. Okay, now I'm just going to center this up with our cardstock, our main panel here, just to it's the same width. So I'm just adding it in there, and see how you got that 3D look now. It ends up really pretty. It's not real bulky, like you'd have a ribbon knot or something. So it's going to lay nice in your envelope. So there is that. And then I have one additional thing. And I'm going to add a few of these dots here. And these are the 2023-25 in color dots. And they're peel and stick. So I have some of these blue ones that are really pretty. So I'm just going to use a couple of these little ones and add some little bubbles for the fish. And I'm just going to add 2 of them. You can use your take your pick tool, would be easier than what I'm doing here, which is just using my scissor blades. So there is our finished card. I hope you like this project and that you give it a try. It's a lot of fun, and I think you're going to like the way these plants layer up. So simple, but yet it comes out so nice. Thanks for joining me. Take care. Doodles!